The Roman Empire wasn't built on courage alone. It was built on debt. We love to imagine Roman legions as noble, disciplined warriors marching to glory. But behind the shining helmets and sharp swords stood a massive supply chain: food, weapons, roads, wages, and endless costs. All of it required money. So how did Rome fund centuries of war? Because war wasn't just fought on the battlefield, it was baked into the financial system. Once the machine started turning, it couldn't stop. Expansion became an economic necessity. In the early Republic, Rome's army was made of citizen soldiers. If you owned land, you were drafted, brought your own weapons, and returned home after the campaign. But as wars stretched farther and longer, that system collapsed. Rome began paying its soldiers and discovered something powerful. Conquest could fund itself. Every province meant new taxes, new slaves, new gold. War paid for more war, but taxes weren't enough. Rome borrowed heavily from its wealthy elite, the equites. These weren't donations, but investments. The lenders expected interest, tax rights, and trade monopolies. War became a business. The richer it got, the more it fought. Over time, generals promised spoils, senators profited from campaigns, and private contractors handled supplies and tax collection. It was the ancient version of the military-industrial complex. Then came the costs. To pay soldiers and creditors, Rome turned to the oldest trick: devaluing its currency. Under Nero, the silver in coins was reduced. Over time, the denarius became almost worthless. Inflation soared, confidence collapsed, and the economy crumbled. The rich hid wealth in land and slaves, while the poor paid taxes in debased money. Corruption grew. Public services failed. Rome's fall wasn't just military, it was monetary. Now, look around today. Governments drowning in debt, wars funded by borrowing, central banks printing money to plug the gaps. Corporations profit from defense contracts, while inflation eats away at ordinary people's savings. The pattern is familiar. Systems built on endless expansion always hit a wall. When there's nothing left to conquer, the debt remains. And when revenue dries up, the state turns on its own citizens with higher taxes, weaker money, and distractions to keep them quiet. We don't call it tribute anymore. We call it taxation, stimulus, or monetary policy. But it works the same way. Who prints the money? Central banks. Who spends it? Governments. Who profits? The wealthy. Who pays? Everyone else. The U.S. spent over $2 trillion on the war in Afghanistan, mostly borrowed. Who got the contracts? Who earned the interest? You already know, like Rome, today's system feeds on itself. Debt is normal. Money printing is constant. Everyone pretends it's fine, until it's not. That's why history matters. Rome teaches us that when finance controls politics, when expansion never stops, when money rots from within, collapse becomes inevitable. Not from enemies, but from math that no longer works. We live in another kind of empire now. Digital, global, powered by capital instead of legions. But the game hasn't changed. Money and power still move together. War is still profitable. Inflation still punishes the weak. The illusion still works, for now. So what can you do? Start seeing the pattern. Most people think inflation is random. Taxes are necessary, and debt means freedom. But the Stoics had a word for that: illusion. You may not escape the system, but you can stop playing blindly. Study financial history, not just markets. Ask, when I'm confused, who's making money? Because you weren't supposed to ask these questions, just like Romans weren't supposed to ask how their wars were funded. Now you know, and once you know, you can't unsee it. Financial education isn't just about budgets and investing. It's about understanding power. So next time you hear about a new war, a new stimulus, or a new crisis, don't just watch. Follow the money. Because empires don't fall when enemies arrive. They fall when the math stops working.